Hi, folks. It's Keith Beardsley back with another edition of the atory01.com vlog. And today I want to take a look basically at the budget and why it was brought in. Now, I refer to the budget as a channel changer. That's all it is. It's a budget can be brought in any day the government wants. They figured they needed to do it now because they were in deep doo doo. So, what do I mean by a channel changer? Well, this is where the government in power is in trouble, like these guys are, and they do something to change the channel, to change the focus of what the media are on. And the budget does that quite nicely. What trouble is the government in? Well, we have the Chinese interference, which is the big story. We have the cost of his trip to Jamaica, which is another one. We have his $6,000 a night hotel stay, the amount of money the governor general has been charging to the taxpayer for her travel. Trudeau billing the government for the cost of his kids' phones because they're government issued. There's a cost for that, as though the prime minister with his salary can't afford to pay for his family's phones. So when you bring in a budget, all of a sudden the media, that's where they go. They go to the budget. They ignore everything else. They ignore the scandals. So this gets the government out of trouble, gives them some breathing room, and allows them to run around the country bragging. That's all they're going to do over the next week or so. Now, a lot of the budget stuff is going to be smoke and mirrors. A lot of it is just there for window dressing, and I'll use the money going, the $250 or whatever it is that's going to go for your grocery bill for those people who are low income. Obviously, Trudeau doesn't do his own grocery shopping. I'd love to ask him if he even knows the price of what cauliflower would be or what a loaf of bread might be. Because when you get down to it, that money isn't even worth one grocery trip. And that money will disappear because Trudeau's going to be bringing in a new carbon tax soon, which the reports I've seen that have said will raise the cost of a liter of gas by about 14 cents. Just think what that's going to do to your grocery bill. So we know they've brought in the budget. Their plan is for the Conservatives to fall for it, walk into the trap, and every day stand up and ask questions on the budget. That's what they want you to do. Why would you do it? Do what we did to Paul Martin. He brought in a budget, minority government. We totally ignored it and went back on scandal. Why? Because when you ask a question on the budget in question period, whether it's to the prime minister, to the minister of finance, the deputy prime minister, or any other minister, all they're going to do is get up and brag. That's all it is. It's going to be a bragging session for the government. Why give them the opportunity? The Conservatives can get their message out by going beyond question period, going to the media, doing interviews, doing their social media, pushing back in so many different ways in the media without it becoming a question period experience. And that's something they have to think about, because ask questions in question period, you fall into the government trap. So I would suggest for the Conservatives that you go back on scandal. Why not? It's always a good topic and people enjoy it. And by the way, when we're looking at this next week, traditionally, after a budget, the prime minister and all of his ministers fan out across the country, spreading the good word about how wonderful the budget is. That's a lot of travel at taxpayers' expense. Now, I recall in the Harper days, reporters used to insist on knowing what percentage of every trip was official business versus what was political business. All right, seems normal, seems legitimate. And they used to insist that Harper write a check for everything, or the party, not so much Harper, but the party write a check for whatever percentage of that travel was political. You don't see that anymore. I certainly haven't seen it anymore. I know it was done because I was the one who had to sit with the tour people and calculate it all. But all of a sudden, no, we don't ask those questions anymore. We wouldn't expect the CBC to question their boss. But there's lots of other good investigative reporters out there somewhere. Most of them seem to have backed off and toned down from when I was there. But you know what, guys? There's still a lot to dig up. That I can guarantee. Keith Beardsley, atory01.com, wishing you a good day.